Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, my guest is Parker Johnson. Welcome, Parker.
Thank you.
So, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Just excited to be here.
Okay, well, thanks for being our guest. So Parker, we just got to know each other the other day at the Y, not very long ago.
No.
So, in fact, it was like we couldn't have planned that at the hot tub.
I know.
It's like, I think Aiden even said, "Here comes Parker," and it's like, wow, it's amazing. It had to be God thing. You don't meet anybody by accident. So Parker, where are you from?
I'm from Grinnell, Iowa. It's a kind of small town, about 12, 13,000 people.
Okay.
There's a college there. So I'm from around there.
Okay. So how did you get from there to Hastings, Nebraska?
Well, so I went to Northwestern College up in Orange City, Iowa.
Okay.
And I played football and baseball there for 4 years.
Cool.
Met my wife there my freshman year, and so we had gotten married in August, and then we decided that I guess I decided that I wanted to be a strength conditioning coach.
Okay.
So I was looking for job opportunities, and
Cool.
Hastings happened to have come up. So now
Okay.
I'm here
How long have you been in Hastings?
since August.
Okay,
August
so
10th.
pretty
Yep.
very recently then.
Yep.
So how do you like Hastings so far?
I like it. I like the people here. I like the community. It feels like an older type of community with
Yes.
things around it that you can dive into and kind of enjoy.
Yes.
I feel like it's peaceful.
No, it is. It's got definitely an interesting vibe, that's for
Mhm.
sure. So I was asked on Dreamcatcher podcast, what were your dreams when you were growing up?
Um, well, just like every kid my age, wanted to be a professional football player.
Okay.
And then as I was going through high school, I had a lot of injuries, and so I spent a lot of time in physical therapy.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh man, this is exactly what I want to do. Like,
Okay.
I want to work with athletes. I want to be a physical therapist, stuff
Cool.
like that. And then I realized that what I was far and few between. Of most of the time they work with older people,
Sure.
people that have other problems.
Right.
And then also freshman year I took biology, and I realized that PT was not for me.
Okay.
So then I was kind of sitting there, and I'm like, man, what else can I do? Because I'm not interested in business. I'm not
Right.
interested in financial stuff, being a teacher, stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, I love lifting.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I could be a strength coach.
There you go.
And so I started doing that my sophomore year of college. And then I realized as soon as I started taking classes, this is the one thing
You
God
just knew
placed me
that.
on to do.
Yeah.
I am meant to be a strength conditioning coach.
I know that feeling. It's just like this is right.
Yep.
You definitely know that. So how with what you're doing right now, you're training to become that.
Yep.
So how far are you along in that journey?
So after you get your 4 years, you have to get your master's. So that's why I'm here at Hastings. I'm a
Okay.
graduate assistant at Hastings College, and I'm
Okay.
getting my master's in teaching.
Okay.
Even though I don't want to be a teacher, it's just part of the
Part of it.
description.
Okay.
And then I'll get my CSCS, which is my certification of strength conditioning.
Okay.
So you have to take a big test for that, and then I
Wow.
can start looking for jobs.
So who gives that test? Or who-
The NSCA does,
Oh,
which
really?
is National Strength Conditioning Association.
okay.
So they have different places throughout the United States. Different people can set up the test. So you go there. It's kind of like the ACT, where you
Okay.
sit there for three,
Like
4
that.
hours,
Okay.
take the test, except it's actually something you enjoy.
Okay. That's good. Yes.
Yep.
That is very good. So when will you be able to do that?
I'm planning to take it either in February or March.
Coming up
maybe
very
during
quickly
spring break
then.
area.
Wow.
Because I want to get it done. I want to see what opportunities maybe await. Because I feel like I'm ready for the next level.
Okay.
It just depends on if my teachers will allow me to go, because they'd have to then move my master's to online and not in person. If I was
okay.
willing to take another position, but
Okay.
I mean, it's whatever God wants, not what I want.
Amen. Yes, I agree on that. So would you want to stay in this area?
No.
Where's your dream place?
Well, my wife and I, we've talked about it. Colorado would be nice.
Colorado's nice.
I'm a diehard Broncos fan.
Okay.
So I wouldn't mind being
Perfect.
down there. And,
Okay.
I kind of know the strength coach that used to be a strength coach for the Broncos, or at least
That's awesome.
a guy that I worked with did, and so that would be a cool opportunity. Or
Okay.
kind of in the Midwest-ish area, not getting
understand
too
that.
far out, because my family's from Iowa, her family's from South Dakota.
Okay.
So
it's
we don't
kinda-
want to be too far, but
see that.
also chase our dreams the best we can.
Yes. So Denver area or
That'd be cool.
You like to ski?
I've never skied.
Snowboard?
Uh-uh.
Really? I can't believe that.
Growing
So-
up, we snowboard on sleds.
Okay, well that works.
Yeah.
I think that might be where I'd like to start because I hear if you snowboard, you fall down a lot.
Mhm.
So, no, I mean, that is so. We were talking about your mindset and what got you to the day.
Yeah.
So, what do you think got you to the mindset? And maybe explain to the audience what your mindset is.
I would say there's levels to what created the person that I am. Just like everything, there's like, I mean, level 1, 2, 3, 4,
Sure.
all the way up. Like you're developing. If you're not developing every day, you're stagnant. That's being negative, and
Yep.
nobody wants to be negative.
True.
And something that I was telling a buddy of mine today actually was that um, everybody says it's me versus me, but
Mhm.
then you're just looking in the mirror and you're the same exact person every single day.
Okay.
Why
Okay.
not be me versus the person that you're chasing, a person that you've never seen, the person that you
I
don't
like
even
that.
recognize? Like,
Yeah.
why don't you chase that?
That's
When,
cool.
where you look in the mirror a year from now and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
who is this person?
Exactly.
And it's a good thing.
Yeah, that is a
um,
good thing. I like that perspective.
And so my junior year of high school, I transferred from a small school of where I would have graduated with 30 kids to
Okay.
a school where I graduated with 170.
Oh wow.
And
Big
so
change.
I completely flipped. That's when we moved to Grinnell. So I hadn't
Okay.
always been from Grinnell.
Okay.
And so I got there and I was about 150 pounds. As
Okay.
a junior. Like I was just a little guy.
Okay.
And I, play football. And there was this old coach that came up to me, and I didn't like him much, but he told me, he was like, "You will never play here." And I was like,
Wow.
"Why is that?" And he was like, "Because you're too small and you've always played small schools." He was like, "You'll never play here." And I was like, "All right, we'll see."
Yeah.
And so I ended up gaining like 15 pounds in the summer and got a little bit bigger, still not huge, about
Right.
170.
Okay.
And then I ended up starting corner for the team that year. Were
Awesome.
we good? Not very, but like I went from fourth string, like I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna play, to like I'm started.
That's
But even then,
huge,
I know I went through a lot of adversity. I started a little bit of wide receiver stuff like that, but I just like I remember there was one game where they run like a wingback set and they just 3 running backs. You never know what's coming.
Right.
Well, I
right.
gave up about 200 and some yards on my side to
Okay.
a stud running back, and I was a corner. But like my job that game was to be huge in the run,
Right.
and I was not huge in the run at all. And so I kind of let my team down that way. And then come same thing junior year baseball season, I was playing. I started in outfield. My sport was really baseball. I was
Okay.
really good at
Okay.
baseball.
Okay.
And that's a big reason why I wanted to transfer was to play baseball. And so my first 2 weeks of baseball in this higher, really good level, I was batting 800.
Okay.
Like I was
wow.
batting lights out. I was the baseball player of the week, back-to-back
Wow.
weeks for
That's
Iowa,
awesome.
stuff like that. I was, on top of the world.
Yeah.
And then we got to conference, and I ended up batting like 200, and I led the state in strikeouts.
Okay.
Striking out, not striking people out.
Okay.
And so I just like went down drastically. And I remember every night after games, I would pull my truck up to the batting cage and I would just hit until 1, 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And then I'd get up and lift and get ready for the games and like keep going at it. And they kept having me out there, but I was a nuisance to the team. I was such a cancer to the team, not only with me, playing, but also like my attitude was very poor.
Okay.
I was
Which I find amazing
I
because
know.
you don't have that now. Wow.
I would just flip a switch. I'd get so upset, just absolutely beaten down. Like I was just not mentally tough. And I remember it was my last game of junior year. I was upset with the coaches, and I snapped my helmet in half. And I
Whoa.
started screaming at the coaches that like this is absolutely ridiculous. You're the reason why we're losing, stuff like that. And they kicked me off the team. They said they didn't want to see me
Wow.
next year. And so I was kind of beaten. But what I didn't realize was my football coach was right outside of the dugout,
Okay.
hearing all of this.
Right.
And so we get to football season because, like in Iowa, baseball's in the summer.
Okay.
And so right after baseball, we're kind of going into football.
Sure.
And so we're playing, and he tells this one kid who was playing safety, I was playing wide receiver, he was like, hit him before the ball comes to him.
Okay.
And hit me. He was see what he does.
Okay.
And so he smoked me as I was trying to get the ball, just blindsided me, and I got knocked to the ground. And my
Wow.
coach comes up to me and starts screaming, ripping me, cussing at me, stuff like that,
Jeez.
seeing how I'd react. And I just sat there
Ah.
balling up my fists. He was like, "What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?" And I just walked away. And he called me into his office the next day. He was like, "I told him to hit you." And I was like, "I know." And he was like, "Do you know why?" And I said, "I don't." And he was like, "Because I heard you your last game during baseball.
Okay,
And I
yeah.
heard how horrible your attitude is." And he was like, "If we're wanting to win ball games this year, your attitude has to be different."
True.
And so I just sat there just kind of in shock. I'm like, he's the first person to ever attitude check me. And so I mean, flipped a switch, had a really good senior year. Ended up, being all conference football player.
Wow.
And really flipped it up.
Really flipped the switch, yeah.
And then come baseball season, I wasn't going to anything because they didn't want me to show up. And coach came up to me because my baseball coach was also my cornerback safety coach, and he told me, he was like, "You've changed a lot." He was like, "Do you want to come out for baseball?" I said, "Truly, only if you want me to." I was like, "I will come out if you want me to." He was like, "I need you on the team." He was like, "Come out." I was like, "All right, I'll come out."
Okay.
And so I ended up, starting right field again my senior year. And I went from like batting 200 my junior year, leading the state in strikeouts, to batting 375 my senior year, and ended up being first team all conference, first team all district, and third team all state. And I ended up just like, once again, just flipping a switch, and just my attitude, everything, my demeanor changed. And with all this, I forgot to mention, during football season, I had torn my ab, my groin, and my hip flexor.
Wow.
And then during basketball season, I had strained my hamstring so bad that I ended up not taking care of it, and I ended up just tearing it. Yeah, tearing it right off. The tendons, couldn't even see the tendons.
Extremely painful.
When they looked at the ultrasound, they couldn't even see the tendons. And so I was playing baseball with all four of these injuries. And COVID had hit, so I couldn't have surgery. So I was like, I'll just play. And so I was wearing like a girdle thing to keep everything together, and a hamstring sleeve to keep my hamstring warm. But I just remember I would cry after every baseball game.
I bet
so much.
I can't even imagine.
But then like I go to Northwestern to play football and baseball. I was out the whole year my freshman year. And that was really, really demoralizing as a freshman, because I went to a really good team. I felt like in some way I'd matter, and I just didn't have any friends my freshman year. I was very lost because of me just being hurt. Like, if you didn't contribute to the team, you really didn't matter all that much.
Okay.
And so I was just kind of lost, not only like, mentally, but also like spiritually. I didn't know God. And then, I met my wife. My now wife, but it was, in October around that time that I ended up meeting her. And we started dating in December, but she gradually showed me, who God was.
So she was
The faith of God was like in her. And like, I saw it, but I didn't know it. Because I was a big person of like, I would conform to everything around me, no matter what. I was just like, oh, I'm hanging out with this person, I'll act like this person, stuff like that. And it truly wasn't until she like told me that I was being that way, that like, you are just everybody that you're around. Like, you don't even know who you are. You're not.
You just mirrored whoever you were with.
Yeah. And I just sat there and I'm like, oh, like, I deny it. Like, no, not. I know who I am, but I sat there one day. I was like, I don't have a clue who I am. I don't know who I am. I don't know my identity. I was like, my identity's in football. I'm not even playing. I'm like, my identity is, in my personal achievements, and looking at it like I have none. Yeah. Like, what am I holding on to?
I know what you're saying, yeah.
So it truly wasn't until my junior year of college that she told me I needed to stop my ways. I needed to stop conforming to this world and start, finding who I truly was.
Yes.
2 years into us dating, she gave me one more shot. She was like, you need to be, better. And that's when I started developing my relationship with God. I mean, if I didn't have her, if she didn't, sacrifice herself for me, I wouldn't be the person that I am. Yeah. And so I'm extremely thankful.
Yeah. I mean, talk about a gift.
I know.
And so, and you are a gift. I mean, you're an amazing man. I mean, I can't even imagine you were that way previously.
Yeah. I look back now and I'm just like, I can't believe, like, I just wish I knew then what I know now.
I hear you.
I wish I could have been led and pushed to be better.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, I knew, Trice was,
Yeah, I hear you.
Guy, risen on the cross for my sins, stuff like that. But I didn't know God.
Yep.
And now that I am striving for that every day, like I couldn't imagine what it was like prior.
Yeah. Talk about waking up. I don't know. It's a whole different. It's like don't even recognize that person that time when you're there. So what do you? I mean, I can't even imagine what you're going to be like in a few years or what even a year with the journey God's got you on. So I kind of know what you want to do, but you want to give back to like kids or to people. I mean, you have a giving heart. I can tell that.
Yeah.
But would you want to? Do you speak? I can see you speaking. In front of
I like speaking. Like
Okay.
I like speaking to my athletes and stuff like that. But my big thing is like it's not always about my words, but it's about my actions, my intentions.
True. Very true.
So like for me in the weight room when I lift, I got to tell my athletes, I'm not making you do anything that I can't or don't do.
That's
I'm doing a powerlifting competition in a month, and it's pretty much to show them like I'm an athlete too.
Yep.
Like I had a girl that deadlifted 480.
Whoa!
That on the softball team, my softball team, and they were all screaming for me to do it. And I was like, I'll do it. I ended up pulling it, and I told her I was like, I'm not doing anything you're not doing. So I love it. I love competition. I've always been an athlete. I've always competed with my younger brothers. I've always competed with my dad. So it's just like
that's awesome.
I have that competitive juices that are just flowing in me. And it's such a blessing, but it's also a curse because it's just like you just got to find a way to get it out.
Yeah.
But no, I love giving back to other people. My way of giving back to people is, building up their bodies. Like that's why I want to be a strength coach. Our bodies are temples. Like
they are.
What we put into our body is what we give out to this world. And if we're putting bad things, if we're not taking care of ourselves,
garbage out.
Then what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that's my big.
And it's the ultimate health. Yes. People don't. They don't really take it seriously until something goes wrong.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, this is your body. You're living in it, and how you have maybe later years are going to be determined probably by what you're doing now. Yeah. So you're competitive. How many brothers do you have?
Two younger brothers. Yep, 21 and 19, 18.
Okay,
18.
But you're competitive with them. So are they athletic too?
Yeah, so both of them play football. So the middle one used to go to Northwestern. He just transferred to the school that the younger brother's at.
Okay.
So they both play running back, so it'll be interesting. But, yep, so we played every sport together.
Cool.
Football, basketball, baseball, ran track. Like, we always competed. My junior year, the middle one of us, who's 2 years younger than me, his freshman year, he started. So I started right field, he started left field.
Wow.
And then my senior year, he would start catcher and outfield. I started right field. For football, we started together and stuff like that. So it's like we always played sports with each other.
Awesome.
We always competed.
Talk about memories. I mean, that'll always. So is your dad athletic too?
You could say that.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, he used to be a huge lifter as well. He
really?
He was good at bench. But he played football and ran track. He was a farmer growing up.
Okay.
So his dad only allowed him to play two sports.
Yeah, I can see with that. Yeah.
So they only got to pick two sports. He picked football and baseball. Not baseball, track. But he never went to college and played.
Okay. Okay. No, so is your mom? She just a supporter? Yeah. She's just kind of
she loves sports. She loves sports, but she doesn't play.
Okay. No, that is so cool. But so okay. What would you tell somebody that had kind of the mindset and where you were at to get? What was the step that got you? I mean, if somebody was struggling, what would you tell them to help them on their journey to getting kind of where you're at?
It's truly, it's belief. Like you just need somebody to feed into you. True. Like for that, it was my high school football coach. Like, look me in the eyes and tell me I'm wrong.
Right.
And that flipped the switch for me to want to be better. But then it was finding my now wife, and she's making me, be better.
Right.
There's something. So we did something at Northwestern. It was called Mondays for Men. Okay. We got together for 30 minutes, and we talked about the Bible and stuff like that.
Nice.
And he would always talk about, he was like, who's your Timothy? Who's your Barabbas? Who's your Paul?
Right.
Like, who are you trying to feed into? Who's better than you, and who's at the same level as you within Christianity? He's like, there aren't levels, but there are levels.
Yeah.
So it's like my wife is she's my Timothy. She's the person that she's feeding. She was looking down at me and she was trying to pull me up with her. She wasn't beating me down. She was pulling me up. And so that's something that you need in your life is that you just need one person. It's like that's somebody I can always go to.
Yes, and you do need that definitely in your life. So,
Yeah.
is she athletic?
She was a stud tennis player in high school,
Okay.
and then she also figure skated.
Oh, wow.
She's a competitor.
So
She's-
you guys,
yeah.
that's
Yep. She competes in everything.
that
which
is
fun.
awesome.
Yep.
So when you guys go on a trip, you just do all kinds of stuff like, or do you guys travel?
Not yet because we're broke,
Checking on that,
but
yeah.
we would like to travel. Like when I came up to her a couple months ago, I was like, I need to do this powerlifting competition for me. Like this is just something that I need to do. She was
True.
full for it. She was.
It's really
I
good.
competed my freshman year of college and it went horrible.
Oh.
Like not only mentally I sucked, physically I sucked. Like everything was bad, and she got the brunt of that. You could say she was
Yeah, I
like,
can
as
see
long
that.
as it's not like freshman year. I was like,
Yeah.
I promise you, it's not.
Yeah.
And so she has really been supportive in my process of not only being a strength conditioning coach, but also chasing my dreams still as an athlete,
Which is cool.
which I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah, that is. You do have to have somebody in your corner. Yeah, very much.
Yep.
And how long you guys been married?
4 months.
So married.
Yep. 5 months tomorrow.
Okay,
So,
well,
yep.
congratulations
I
on
know.
the 5 months.
I know.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yep.
where did you guys meet?
We met at college.
You just met at college.
Yep.
Have a class together, or how?
No, we met at a friend's
Okay.
a little dorm area.
Okay.
And we met that way, and then we met at a volleyball game, and we just
Okay.
kind of hit it off. And so, yeah, we've been together since December of 2020.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird because we're like, we've been together for 4 years, and it feels like, there wasn't a life before each
I
other.
hear you.
And now it's just like, we have forever with each other. There's going to be a certain point in time that we've been with each other longer than we were ever without each other.
True.
And so that's exciting.
No, that is true. So you said you didn't mind speaking. I mean, would you ever do your own podcast with what you're doing, or
Probably not.
You wouldn't?
That
Okay.
would be something that would be interesting. Like I wouldn't mind it because I like
Okay.
talking to people. I love listening to podcasts. People that like just feed into others or like give you just sources of information.
Uh-huh.
But somebody would definitely have to like put it in front of me and be like, hey, like
Uh-huh.
you'd be good at this. But it's not like I've tried to do the like videoing for my Twitter, like showing
Sure.
my lifts and stuff like
Right.
that. I've always like been like, oh, it would be fun to do YouTube or something like that. But it's also like I know there's a lot of money that goes into it, and I don't know if the payout would be worth it.
You should get a YouTube channel. You don't have a YouTube channel?
No.
Yeah, because it's after 1,000 subscribers, and you start getting some money back. And well, even on Facebook, after 10,000, which I did not know until recently, that you start getting paid by Facebook.
Oh,
And yeah, when I got a check, it's like, okay, I didn't know they ever did that. So.
Yeah.
But I could see you doing. I could definitely see you doing a YouTube channel.
Maybe
with
down
all
the
the
road.
stuff you're doing. So
Yeah. If I God willing, if I do well with this powerlifting meet, stuff like that, and like if he's showing me different outlets, maybe
okay.
because like I watch powerlifters on YouTube.
Sure.
And I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's just like if that path opens up, then possibly.
I could see you being the young kids watching you.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what's funny too. Watching these guys, they're like, wow, like somebody just came up to me and they were like, I watch your YouTube and it
Mhm.
doesn't feel real.
yeah.
And you look at it and they're like, I only have 30,000 subscribers, but then you think about it, like
Yeah.
that could fill up a college football stadium.
Oh yeah. It's a
The
lot.
people that watch your videos.
Yeah. It's
So,
just,
and you never know the people that you're impacting. Like
You don't.
with your podcast,
Yeah.
you don't know.
yeah, some of the people you would have no clue that you're impacting at all, which is kind of cool when they come up and it's like because of you. And actually, I've had quite a few people start a podcast because of what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And it's just like you never know. You
Yeah.
never know what somebody's going through, and you never know who you're influencing. So now, so would you do you like writing?
I write every morning. So
Okay.
like when I wake up in the morning, I get my coffee and I go to my little man cave / office space.
Cool.
And I just spend time with God for about 30 to 40 minutes. I read my own book. I read, the Bible, and then like I journal for a long time. I
Okay.
journal. I have things, I have achievements that I want to hit every day.
Cool.
But I have weekly goals that I have, monthly goals, and then yearly goals.
Which is
So
cool.
every single day I, recenter
See how you're-
myself
yeah.
with that. And like,
Mm-hmm.
am I doing that? Am I not doing that? Stuff like that. And so I'm always writing. I'm always trying to better myself.
So on a bad day, when you haven't met your goals, I mean, because some people would just give up. It's like, well, I'm never going to get to whatever it is. How do you push through on a bad day?
Um, Yeah, I grade myself.
Do you?
I
Okay.
do, yeah. So
Okay.
every single day, like I have 10 things I want to achieve,
Okay.
and I'll grade myself based off that. And then at the end of the week, I'll do a reflection, and my goal is 80% on the week. I want to get
Cool.
80.
I like that.
And it's hard to do because
Yeah.
my standards are so high,
Right.
but it's something that like I try to push and achieve every single day. And it can range from various things, but it's just like if I'm going through a bad day, I'll either pray about it or I'll read those goals for that day.
Cool.
And, which that's something this year I'm trying to pray more. Like
Right.
I thought I prayed a lot before, but it's like truly if you just pray in the morning and pray at night, like that's not enough.
No.
Like you need to talk to God, like he's sitting by you.
You do, and I've kind of in the last year and a half gotten that way. I mean, he talks to me daily. He texts me all the time. There's very few days that he doesn't. And everybody's like, "Really, you talk to him?" It's like he talks to me, but not like this.
Yeah.
But he does. And it's just like I don't know. It's comforting. I don't know what it is. It's awesome.
I mean, today I was lifting before coming here, and I just prayed, and I wear a cross every day, and I
Cool.
just kind of kiss. I was like, God, allow your blessings to flow from me. Before every single set, I just like kind of got emotional, like chills. Like he was like sitting there spotting me, and I was just like, this is cool.
It is
Like,
very cool. Yeah.
And so it's just like I want that feeling every day.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
my big thing this year is just like truly let go and let the
Surrender.
blessings flow.
Yes.
Something I heard about a month ago at church was that you don't need to try harder, you need to surrender deeper.
Amen.
And that's something that I want to do more of. Is like I'm done trying. I'm here to surrender.
Yeah.
Because like what I do on earth won't amount to anything that God is trying to accomplish.
No, and that so many people have problems with surrendering. They want to try, they want to. It's like no matter what, I'm gonna. And it's like sometimes you get to the point that your only option is to surrender,
Yes.
and that's when God really started talking to me because I was in a pretty low spot, and it's just like I knew God kind of like you said, but I never had anybody, not him, the entity or whatever it is, talk to me like he did. And he's like, I think maybe I told you this the other day. He's like, if I didn't take everything away from you, you would always depend on yourself.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, that's true. So, because I was going to do it no matter what, and it's like, since if I take it all away, because everything you have is from me, by the grace of God. And it's like, okay, but it's comforting. It's peaceful.
Yes.
It's very peaceful because it's like, he's got my back, and it's just like, sometimes I don't understand what he puts me through, but I always know it's for my own good. And and people who don't understand that, which I was one of them not that long ago, it's just like foreign to them. But before, when I was that way to where I'm now, I don't recognize that old person at all. So it's just like that was me for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So
something I heard on a podcast the other day actually was just like, it's good to hit rock bottom because it forces you to look up.
It does. It very much does. Yeah. No, he basically he took pretty much everything away. Everything. It was just like, and it was so frustrating because nothing would work.
Yes.
It's just like all this has worked before, and it's just like not going to this time. So, but he's what he's got in mind for me. What he tells me, and maybe I told you this too the other day, is show people their gifts and show them the way.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a gift. Well, I was listening to, I don't remember who it was this weekend, or it seems like weekend, yesterday actually, Wednesday, that 50% of the kids now, over 50% of the kids today in the United States have never heard of God, do not know God at all. And I mean, I didn't have an intimate relationship growing up, but I knew who he was. But I told my wife, it's like, I can't imagine not having at least that.
Yeah.
And it's like, which I think he had me hear that on purpose. Because it's like, these kids have to somehow get to know God at the very minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I say, that's like, you put that in my path on purpose.
Yeah.
And it's, well, like us, I could see us doing something together. I don't know what it is, but I can see us doing something together,
sir.
collaboration
I'm
or something.
Here for it.
But so, how did you start the powerlifting competitions? When did you start, and how long you been doing that?
Well, it's something, like I said, I tried it my freshman year. I had just gotten done with all those surgeries that
Okay.
I had injured
Okay.
myself, and it was more so a prove it to myself that I
Okay.
could do it.
One of those deals.
And I absolutely bottomed out. I did not do well at all.
Okay.
I was just not prepared for that. And so I always knew after college, after football, after baseball, I wanted to power lift because like I am a good lifter.
Uh-huh.
And I know like I have goals, aspirations with lifting, and I know I can achieve them. But I need to compete with it.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to get in the. I know it's odd because I'm a strength coach. It's hard for me to get in the weight room and just lift every
Okay.
single day. I
Okay.
need something to strive for, to try to
I can
achieve.
understand that. Yeah.
Because that's just the competitor that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been, looking at the powerlifting calendar, looking, and I'm just like, oh, there's one in Wichita, Kansas. That's only 3.5 hours away.
Right. Right.
I was like, I need to do it.
Okay.
And so I signed up for it, and I looked. I'm competing against 2 kids that are from Concordia,
Okay.
which will be interesting. But it's just like I sat with myself today. I'm like, I'm not competing with anyone but myself.
Amen. Yes.
Like they might be on the platform with me, but
Yeah.
like they're not with me.
Yeah, it's you against. Yeah, it's you and you. Yeah.
Yes.
So where do you have that in Wichita? Is that like at a?
That's at Friends University,
Okay.
which
Okay.
is in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
Yep. So they're an AIA school as
Oh,
well.
really? Okay.
But yeah, I was just like, it's a thing that's just like it's one thing at a time. I'm 23,
Okay.
and within it's called the junior class, which is ages 20 to 23.
Okay.
So this is my last year to
Ah.
compete in that class before I'm
Okay.
in an open class.
Oh,
which
it's
is-
open. Okay.
Which is like 24 up.
Oh,
so
wow.
Any levels.
Wow.
And that's when it gets really hard.
I could see that when
Like-
you have that.
Like there's a guy I watch on YouTube who he's 30 years old. And he's like squatting 700, like benching 400, stuff like that.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm not there
Uh-huh.
at
Yeah.
all. So
Yeah.
it's just like I need to compete where I'm at right now
True.
and see how far I get.
Yeah.
Yep. So
But yeah, you will be there. You will. I have no doubt you will be there. So,
I appreciate
so is
that.
this your first competition?
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Pretty much.
wishing you very. Yeah. You got this.
I'm excited. My goal is to be able to go to nationals. That's what
So
I
where's
want.
nationals at?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Yep. So my goals, my aspirations for this competition is I want to squat 515.
Okay.
I want to deadlift 585, and then it's pause bench. So you got to hold on your chest and then press about 315.
Okay.
And so like, are they lofty goals? For sure. But they're goals that's just like I gotta do it.
Yeah.
For me, and then like I got lofty goals for the end of the year too. But it's just like, why would I want to settle?
Don't
So,
settle.
Exactly.
Most people settle.
Exactly.
And then they have a
So-
mediocre life. And then they
Exactly.
get to the end of it and all the stuff they wish they'd have done. That's one reason why I started the podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's people don't get your dreams. They don't do any of it.
Exactly.
Like we were talking the other day. They not enough time, life happens. There's so many things that can keep you from doing that. And it's like God did not put you, I always say, God did not put you here to live that kind of life.
Yep.
And if you were given the dream, you were given the wherewithal to do it. Won't be easy because it's going to have to build you into the person that can live that or do that dream. But it's just like, just do it.
Yep.
And starting. A lot of times starting is the hardest part. But once you get started, the path shows its way. The people, the resources, come to your aid. And it's so worth it.
Yep.
It is awesome. That's why I like doing these podcasts. I mean, it's just like, if there's any way that gets even one person to do their dream, it's just like, and I have a lot more bigger goal than that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing with the podcasting. It goes around the world.
Yep.
And it is, it's just so awesome. So okay. I bet this will be a long list. What are some things you haven't done that you want to still do?
That's a good question. I mean, I want to. I like Hastings, but this isn't my forever home.
Sure.
I want to get out and I want to try to achieve the most that I can within my strength conditioning realm.
Right.
Like some people are scared of going D1 because then when you go Division 1 as a strength coach, you're pretty tied to the coach that you're with
Really?
for
Okay.
like the football team. So if they get fired, you might get fired. Stuff
Oh,
like
wow.
that.
Okay.
But it's just like that's what I want.
Okay.
Like because then like what I'm doing with the athletes are on full display. Like I know that lifting isn't everything, but it's a big part.
Yeah,
And people forget,
yeah.
but also like what I think I do differently than most strength coaches is that I'm a huge mental person.
Okay.
I'm a huge like when I'm with my athletes, I make them go somewhere mentally that physically they can't go to.
Interesting.
Because that's something that I do when I lift. That's something I've learned, and like something that I tell my athletes is like mentally, if you've already not done it, then you're not going to do it.
True.
But if mentally you've already seen yourself achieve it, then you're going to easily do it physically.
A little manifestation there.
Yes.
So,
I'm a big manifestation. Like I'm a big believer in that. And so
it is.
I mean, that's something I'm trying to pour into my athletes, and something I try to pour into myself daily and the people around me. And so that is something that I feel like I have a leg up on that not a lot of people do, because I've been through so much that other people haven't been through.
True.
And like I was a psychology minor in
really?
in college
Okay.
as well, and so like I love the mental portion of life.
See that.
And so yeah, that's something that I'm trying to help. And that's something I was really good at with baseball, was like mentally you were never going to strike me out. Like physically you might have actually struck me out, but you never actually struck me out. So I'm a big believer in the mental aspect.
It is, because kind of like you say, if you're thinking you're not going to win at something, you're not going to be able to do it, you've already basically said to the world, I'm not going to be able to do this. And people think manifestation is kind of woo-woo. And it's like, no, you just kind of see yourself and the feeling and everything, like when you're going to get it, when you have accomplished that in the 3D. And it's just like, that's the way you do it. It is very much the way you do it. Because I could have said, even podcasting, I had never ever thought of that, but it's just like, okay, I can definitely see myself doing that.
Yeah.
And I could see myself actually speaking in front of people now, which, as quiet as I was when I was younger, would have been terrifying to me. Now it feels right, and I can actually, I can visualize right now being in front of it on stage.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're so awesome to talk to, but so, okay, 20, 30 years down the line, where do you see your life?
I mean, want a couple kids.
Okay,
of
awesome.
course, but like I said, I want to be the best strength coach I can possibly be. Okay. One thing is like, I feel like a lot of people settle because of the comfortability aspect. Yes. I've seen a lot of strength coaches that it's just like, why are you still here? Like, you should be doing more.
Okay. I see what you mean. Gotcha.
They're comfortable with where they're at. And so it's just like, for me, why be comfortable? Like, a lot of people, are scared about the firing thing, but also the moving around a lot. But like, if you're successful and the team that you're with is successful, you're going to be okay.
You will be.
And so like, I have a way different approach of how I, do my workouts and how I pour into my athletes than most people do. Okay. And I know that like, that's going to be the way. And that's something like my, strength coach here, my boss pretty much has told me. He was like, you have a different approach than all of us other, the GAs and stuff like that. Yep. And it'll take you very far. It will. You are not based off of anybody else but yourself. Yeah. And so that's a huge compliment to me, because it's just like, yes, I've taken things, bits and pieces from people that I've watched and, have influenced me, but it's truly like, I've trialed and errored it. I've done it to myself. Like I've done my workouts. I've seen what it can do for me. Exactly. And then I want to see what I can do for my athletes, and then go from there. If it's not working, I'll switch it. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to keep pressing it on them if it's not working. It's some people, they just keep doing it until, and it's like, when something shows you it doesn't work, move on to something else. Yes. But I think that's, people get stuck a lot of times too, kind of like settling. But it's just like, well, at my age, everybody's like, you should be retiring or thinking about retiring. It's like, why would I ever want to do that? Mm-hmm. Just because that is the norm, which I have never been part of the norm. It's just like, retiring. It's like, if you're loving something, why would I want to do that? And podcast is not that physical, I can tell you that. Yeah. So, well, I think a lot of people retire because like, it was truly a job. Yeah. Like, they had to do it to provide, to, to take care of the family, like stuff like that. But it's just like, for podcasting, or like for me, like, it's not a job. It's a lifestyle. It's something I enjoy. It's kind of your calling. Yes, exactly. So it's just like, when you have a calling, when you have something that you just love, you never want to step away from it. No. And everybody's like, work. It's like, it's not work. It doesn't seem like work, because people ask when you work, and it's like, I never work. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy everything I do, and it's not traditional, but it's like, I wouldn't want to be part of the traditional.
I want to show people that there's another way. But yeah, every day I get to play and then drink coffee and talk to awesome dudes like you. So, but yeah, there's so many people that, especially in this day and age, I'm surprised that still go by that path, and it's just like, you would think that, especially with all the people on the internet. Well, and then going to college. College is good, but if you don't, because some people just go to college to get the degree, and it's like, unless you have something, I wouldn't spend all the money. Unless you got scholarships or something.
Yeah.
But because you can learn pretty almost as much from YouTube, view or videos. But I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thing, that's the way the world's going,
Yes.
and show people of my age group. It's like, no, you don't have to do that.
No.
And I can do this traveling. I can do it. So you said you wanted to do traveling. You guys got a place that you'd like to travel to?
I mean, I want to go to Chicago.
Chicago's awesome.
Because I'm a Cubs fan.
Have you have been?
I've never been to. I've been to Chicago, but I've never been to a Cubs game.
Okay.
And so that's something that we want to do. I'd love to go to Colorado and actually enjoy Colorado.
Colorado's awesome.
I want to go to Tennessee. We want to go overseas to Italy and
Italy's awesome.
and Greece and all that. But it's just right now where we're at, we just have to save money.
Just kind of start
because
life,
I don't have a big boy job. I don't get paid very much from the school because I'm just a graduate assistant and stuff like that. So it's just when I truly get a job, then I can, we can go do stuff.
Well, and as long as Italy. It's hard to come home from Italy, southern Italy, but just put a date and time, put it on the goal. It's like by this, whatever, because otherwise it just keeps on, going down your lifeline, and it's just like never happens. But I have no doubt you will do that. So,
well, do you know who he wrote a book? I've read his book, but he also has a podcast. His name's Ed Milet.
Oh yeah. I've actually seen him in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah.
He's talked about it. He's a big manifester as well, and he said that something that he used to do until he got to the point where he's at is that him and his wife would go to a hotel. And they would stay in the cheapest room and stay there for, a night or two, enjoy it, stuff like that.
Yep.
And but they wanted to get to that suite.
Yep.
They wanted to be able to have enough money that they could afford that suite.
Exactly. Yes.
And be content there.
Yep.
And so that's something that he chased year after year. And I think that's something that, you have to do with life.
You do, very much. No, he was a great speaker. I didn't know how he would be, but he had the whole, there was like 6,000 of us in this out in Vegas. And it's like, it was pin, you could hear a pin drop. But it is, if you don't ever get comfortable in seeing yourself like that. And I always tell people, it's like, start dressing like the person you want to be, some of the clothes might be expensive or whatever, but you can always find places that you can get clothes that, you have to become that person before you become that person. And that's why last time my wife and I flew, we were in Denver and they called my name and they said that I had qualified for first class. And it's like, okay. I like when I get that in the airport.
Yeah.
Did not know how to do that. We didn't even know how to get all that stuff. But it's like, I'm pretty comfortable here.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, in fact, next time we fly over to Europe, we are definitely going first class because oh my gosh.
Well, it's a long flight.
Oh, it's a very long flight. And we were in economy, in which they treated us very well, but I couldn't move. My legs couldn't hardly move after that flight. And it's like, I wonder what it's like up there.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to be next time. There's no
You got to pay that little extra. Especially for me, my knees hurt after an hour or two.
I didn't think in fact, it took a day or two before I could my legs felt. Because it was Denver to Munich, it was over 10 hours, and then 2.5 hours down to Italy. And it's like, well, I'm going to be over here, but I'm not going to be able to walk.
Yeah.
So, but you do. And even when we go out, like Wine and Cheese or wherever, we do the nicer, like maybe somebody that is at Achieve where we're at would do and learn about new cheeses, new wines, whatever. It doesn't have to be that, but, or go to places that, nicer restaurants. It's just, you do have to become the person that, like the person that you're aspiring to be.
Yes.
So Parker, anything else before we end the podcast that you would like to share?
I don't know. I appreciate being on this because I don't think people truly realize like what they're capable of.
I don't think so either.
And so like that's why, you know, we've talked a couple times in the hot tub, and like
Yep.
I only meant to be in the hot tub for 15 minutes. It ended up being an hour.
It was it was a while.
And so it's just like when you find the people that impact you and push you and make you strive for better, it's just like you have no other choice but to rise to that occasion.
True. Very true.
And I think a lot like what you're doing with the Dreamcatcher and like getting different people on.
Yep.
And you know, talking, asking questions, telling stories. It's just like people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Like you don't know that, but like you know that people need to hear that.
You do. Yeah, and sometimes they don't even know they need to hear it until they hear it. So yeah, that's big plans for Dreamcatcher. I'm just going to keep on getting bigger and more.
Manifest it.
Yeah, exactly. And God tells me He told me I was going to be on the world stage, which I think is probably this. And He said your name's going to be known around the world. And it's like I told my wife, it's like I wonder what He's going to have me do here.
Yeah.
But it's like I trust Him. So you know, every day He's just showing me the way. So
That's awesome.
but perfect. Thank you for being on the podcast, and maybe a follow-up podcast.
Would love to.
So otherwise, I'll probably see you at the hot tub in the way. So,
Probably tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. So on that, I will end this episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for everybody joining us, and everybody take care.